Imagine you have a birthday cake and each year one person is cutting themselves a bigger and bigger slice. Essentially, that's what data centers are doing with our power. Behind me is one of Ireland's most power-hungry buildings, a data center. In the last 10 years, the share of our energy that is being used by data centers has grown from 4.4% to 23.9%. That's more than a fourfold increase. And now Ireland has the highest proportion of data center power consumption in the entirety of Europe. And all of this energy consumption right in the middle of an energy crisis. The government continues to push for more data centers to be built without any limit on the amount of energy that they can consume. Now, we have to ask ourselves how much of our cake is reasonable to give away, and will there be enough to go around? I'm Roderic and I'm the leader of the Green Party here in Ireland. The Green Party have real concerns about the amount of our country's energy that is being used to power data centres. Sometimes we get asked, why didn't you stop data centres being built when you were in government? Well, actually, we did. Data centre approvals collapsed in 2023. This is because the Green Party introduced what amounted to a pause on new grid connections in the autumn of 2021. There was a delay with approvals coming through the planning system, which is why the effect of the pause wasn't felt immediately. This pause in connections was in place until last December. Then the new government decided to change course because it wants to get back to building more data centres. And now data center applications are ramping up again.
So what is it with these guys' love affair with data centers? Well, it's AI, which we all know and love. Tech giants like Google, Meta, OpenAI, and Microsoft plan to spend $650 billion on AI. And it's tech bros like trillionaire Elon Musk and Peter Thiel that are making the decisions on these investments. These guys just want to make more money. Last year alone, Mark Zuckerberg axed 3,600 jobs as Meta doubled down on their AI investment. And now these guys and their companies are being welcomed into Ireland. I don't trust them. So basically, the government is cheerleading all the good things that data centers will bring us because they believe that data centers will boost our economy and provide jobs. They definitely won't cause any other harm, right? So how many jobs would data centers actually provide? The Department of Enterprise commissioned KPMG to come up with a report to show the value of data centers. The report was exactly what the government wanted to hear, but the numbers were questionable. The government claims that by developing data centers, more jobs will be created. They say that data centers will employ up to 19,500 people, but 60% of these jobs are in construction, which are temporary. So the actual number of permanent jobs created by data centers are around 7,800. Still, the government continues to use large job creation figures to entice us into believing that building more data centers is good. When most of the jobs are in construction and we have limited amount of construction workers, we should prioritize building homes and infrastructure rather than data centers.
But actually, it gets worse. The KPMG report actually claims that more data centers will support Ireland's sustainability transition. Really? Here's the thing. KPMG actually didn't do a cost-benefit analysis of the impact on data centers on people and on the environment. They actually say that themselves in the same report. If data centers continue to expand at their current rate, they're going to continue to stress our power grid, and we just don't have enough renewable energy to meet that demand. And what happens when the power grid is stressed? Data centers switch to backup sources of generation, which are usually gas-powered. So instead of contributing to a sustainable transition, they're actually adding carbon emissions. KPMG says that data centers only use 0.13% of Uisce Éireann's annual water supply. Sounds small enough, right? But this figure doesn't account for the new AI data centers that are about to be built. And that's because AI data centers use way more water for cooling to make sure they don't overheat or even explode. And this is an issue globally as well. The projected water demand for all data centers internationally by 2030 is estimated to be 9.3 trillion litres. And that number is bound to increase as more AI data centers are built. Right now, Ishka Éireann are saying that they do not envisage that the 0.13% of Irish water that is used for data centers increasing significantly. But with drought conditions becoming more regular and 58% of Ireland's water resource zones under pressure in normal conditions, it's hard to see how more data centres isn't going to mean more pressure on our water supplies. But at least data centres are paying for themselves, right? Well, actually, no. And that's what's most upsetting about data centre expansion. Essentially, all the environmental costs will come out of the public purse. When data centres strain the grid, the available renewable energy that we have isn't able to meet these demands, which drives up the cost of electricity. A report from Friends of the Earth revealed that Irish households paid an additional €360 between 2015 and 2023. These prices are only projected to increase. So the average household could be expected to pay an extra €644 between 2025 and 2034 if data centres continue to expand. And while Dublin is already struggling to meet its water demands, projects like the Shannon pipeline are being built to increase the level of water available. This will cost billions of euros of taxpayers' money, and the data centres, well, they're not going to be paying their fair share. We have limited water and power capacities in this country, and we need to keep these resources for the citizens, not for major companies. The government's policy of unlimited data centre expansion, that's doing the exact opposite. So, what can we do about this? Well, we could start by stopping the expansion of new data centres. The Green Party supports a moratorium on new data centre builds until our renewable energy supply can catch up with the intense energy demands of these centres. New centres that rely on fossil fuels when the grid is strained shouldn't be built in the first place. They lock us in to fossil fuel usage and they derail us from achieving our climate goals. Irish households shouldn't be facing the environmental impacts that these centres will bring, and they absolutely shouldn't be paying more on their household energy bills. A levy on the current energy usage of data centres could be used to lessen the cost of data centres on households. Our climate and enterprise ministers are playing to the tune of tech oligarchs, and the government is following them blindly into a mess that's going to take decades to undo. We cannot let that happen.